whatever makes it. Welcome to Reckoning Brothers, everybody. I'm Mark.
I am Scott, and I am in Los Angeles, and I am a
Oh,
quarter Jewish, and I love Mark and Josh, and I'll drink to that.
I'll drink to that.
I don't
You
know
are
why I
Jewish.
said all those things.
You are Jewish, and you're 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 like
You know what was weird? I was
what?
more of a cheap ass before I found that out through the DNA test, and then like after I found that out, I think just to compensate, I've been less of a cheap bastard because I
Well,
don't
I
want to
noticed that
admit
when
it.
we go out to dinner, you always like leave without offering to pay the check because you have to get home before the local news at 10 o'clock to see if any of your tribe got beaten up by the
Yeah.
Palestinian protesters.
It's called Tribe
Like, you'll
Watch.
never stay there. You'll never stay there and drink with me and the other Irish guys I hang out with.
No. It's a self preservation instinct. Like I got to
You're
get out there. Like once you guys hit 3 drinks, it's like, oh man, they're gonna start hitting like whoever they perceive as a minority. Like it's just they're gonna start fucking going to town. I got to get out of here.
you're like the whitest Jew. Like you live in Southern California.
I
Look
do.
at you, you white son of a bitch. You white Jew.
Mm.
You live
I
in Southern
tan pretty well.
California. White secular Jew lives in Southern California,
Hmm. I do tan
and
pretty well. I don't know if you heard me say that, but I feel that's important. I just don't spend a lot of time in the sun. And you look like a just like and see, I knew you. I wouldn't say it's because of your age, because I knew you like 22, 23 years ago, and you're pretty crispy. You kind of have that that just like a California like grandma that doesn't accept that she's a grandma yet face. That just kind of
leather
red,
face.
like crispy, like sunburnt, kind of grizzled, leathery look.
Well, at some point, I'm gonna get one of you guys to show me how to fix the color on this thing because it doesn't do me justice.
It's because you're super backlit.
Like, huh?
You're
It's because I'm
super
super
backlit
white.
with yeah, with
Let's
the
just say, that I'm very white. You're very white. You're Jewish and white, and you live in Southern Cal. You're so white the Nazis had to wear sunglasses when they were making lampshades out of your skin.
boom. I still can't believe that's fucking real. You know
Isn't
what
that
else I
wild?
can't believe is real, Mark?
What?
The Charlie Kirk political assassination. I know that's what you want to talk about, and I want to talk about it too.
Well, I
It's
mean,
fucking insane.
what else is there to talk about when you stop and think about it? It's the most high-profile political assassination, um, successful political assassination since. I mean, I can't remember when. And really, and it's very depressing because you guys aren't old enough. I am to remember what it was like when this country went through a lot of quite a number of political assassinations. Um, Jack, Bobby, Martin, John Lennon, and although John Lennon wasn't political, I grant you that, and even Reagan's assassination wasn't political. John Hinckley Jr. did it to impress Jodie Foster.
Yeah, and it didn't work, oddly enough, which is weird.
And then to see the reaction on it, I mean, I'm just floored with some of the headlines I've seen today, and some of the things I've seen people put up. Jameel Hill, who writes for the Atlantic, um, put this up. The L.A. Times spoke with an expert about markings on the killer's bullet casings, and it turns out Charlie Cook was the victim of a white supremacist gang hit.
That does not match what I read
It doesn't
about the
match.
killer.
It doesn't match reality.
No,
It's
it doesn't
it's
match
no,
reality.
it's insane. We've reached new levels of delusion. I mean, there's literally there's 100,000 at least 100,000 people on Twitter, and a lot of them are bots overseas, bad actors that are blaming Israel. They're saying the Mossad did it because Charlie Cook didn't support Israel enough. I mean, that's
Ridiculous.
you know, it's like it's the conspiracy theory rabbit hole, and it's just crazy. It's insane. You know,
It's
the most
insane, but so predictable. Like if you would have just said to me, 2 weeks ago, "Hey, Charlie Kirk's going to get assassinated," what are political extremists uh, going to say? Oh, they're going to say that it was a Jewish conspiracy that was Israel the whole time. Of
Yeah,
course, yeah.
yeah,
Nothing's more predictable than that.
yeah. I saw the former director of the Center for Disease Control today, and he talked about the dangers of the permanently online um, of young people permanently online
Yeah,
and the Discord channels, and it's a very dark place. So young people are spending 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day, on this on the dark side of the web in these Discord channels, and apparently Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk's assassin, was doing that, and it's just it's deep. It's just so obviously deeply unhealthy. It made me think about how not all that long ago was what the second thing that I watched, the thing that I watched right after the CDC former CDC director said that was I switched to an older movie, and it was 1940s 50s, and it was showed the family after dinner was sitting around. The mom was knitting or sewing, and somebody was reading and somebody else was listening to the radio. It made me feel deeply troubled about modernity in a lot of ways after hearing what the former CDC director said, because um, he mentioned that all of this online, all of this screen time, all of this online stuff um, is it dehumanizes people. The dark side of social media dehumanizes people, and he's right.
he's absolutely right. Have you read any Jonathan Haidt? Have you listened to like Tristan Harris or any of these guys that spend a lot of time in this world?
Yeah, Jonathan Haidt's a brilliant man, by the way.
Jonathan Haidt's brilliant. The Coddling of American Mind was brilliant. The Righteous Mind was brilliant. But
Yeah,
I mean,
isn't
according
he
to
the one that
him,
just wrote? Isn't he? I'm sorry to interrupt. Isn't he the
no,
one
good.
that just wrote an entire book on kids being online all the time and how damaging it is?
I can't remember what his latest book was,
Okay,
but that
I
makes
may have
sense.
the wrong guy then. Go ahead.
That's sometimes these people just run together in my head, and I just kind of try to remember the parts that stick out. But Tristan Harris actually has a Netflix special called The Social Dilemma that's really good that goes over all of this. But when you're spending all your time online and all traditionally, like, remember what it was like to be a kid? You and I didn't have that drastically much different childhoods. We would go outside and play. I was watching Bridget Phetasy, and she said, "There's only even our generation. There's only so much MTV you can watch, right? And you would need to go outside. You would need to find your friends. You would need to go start trouble. You would need to go do shit. But
Yeah,
now, because of technology, you don't. You don't. And what happens is you're disconnected from other people, right? And you, like that CDC director said, you're desensitized. Basically, you don't understand that other people have feelings too. I think just technology's allowing people not to grow up in the traditional way, and it's so unlike anything that's happened before. Yeah, every generation says that the generation coming up is oh they're so much worse than us. Da 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 da. They have it so easy, and yeah, they're all kind of right. But this generation, they are able to not grow up because of technology, and that is fucking dangerous. There will be more incidents like this, and it's extremely scary.
it's extremely scary. No, the media reaction to this has just been wild because um, a lot of it is concentrated on they did the Norm Macdonald meme. You know the Norm Macdonald meme about if ISIS set off a nuclear weapon in New York and it killed 100,000 people, I'd be worried about Islamophobia. You know which one I'm talking about.
I don't know that meme, but that's yeah, that checks out for Norm Macdonald.
So tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people uploaded themselves dancing and celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Charlie
Right.
Kirk, and I don't know a lot about Charlie Kirk. I did last night put up some of the debates that he did. When you look at the interaction between him and the college students, um, he was very respectful to everybody.
That was kind of
He
his whole thing. He was
it
really
was
respectful. Yeah. And he believed in his whole thing was debate. The reason why he put himself out there is we need to debate. We need to debate peacefully these ideas. That was his entire ethos. He started Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA wasn't any violent organization. It was a let's talk about these things organization. Believe, agree or don't, doesn't matter.
and I'm almost ashamed to admit it now, but when it first got started, and I was watching him and the people in the smaller, the small chapters that were popping up on college campuses, and they were setting up their little table, and they had their little brochures there. And I remember I told Tucker Carlson at one point, who I'm, by the way, am ashamed that I ever knew now, since he's gone completely off the rails and lost his
I don't know
fucking
what the
mind.
hell's happening to that guy.
I have no idea either. I mean, he talks,
It can
he
happen to
talked
any
about.
of us,
I mean, I
apparently.
suppose so, but I remember telling him on a phone call, on a conference call that we had when I was in Florida, and I said, and I was pitching an idea to him. Actually, Josh and I both were pitching an idea to him about an app that we thought would be an interesting and and good app, a political app. And I mentioned to him about these kids, and this kid named Charlie Kirk, going to campuses, and is that really? And I said, is that really going to accomplish anything? I mean, they're getting shouted down. They kind of look like nerds. I really don't think this is going to go anywhere. And boy, was I wrong,
I
because
mean,
it
look at
went.
the event where he got shot. I mean, he was standing in front of a crowd. It was like a
Yeah,
Trump rally and a mini version of that.
yeah,
It was a legit thing. He changed a lot of people's minds for sure. And you don't even have to be a full blown conservative. You just have to be a free speech person to be a fan of him, I think. Right? Because I don't sit there and agree with everything he said. Was out there on some COVID shit, but it's like it was enjoyable to watch him. He seemed like he was kind of a Ben Shapiro type. It was always a good, smart person to watch, whether you believe or agree with him or not. He was a good representative of that world, of that point of view.
yeah. And now the media, coverage on the backlash, and the people that are calling him hateful and divisive, etc. They dug
Bullshit.
up a clip of him saying that he opposed the Civil Rights Act.
Do you support the Civil Rights Act?
In spirit, but not how it's written.
Why?
It's too broad and paved its way for the persecution. For example, they're using the Civil Rights Act to put men in locker rooms like Riley was in.
How? Which article?
Article 4 or 5, I think. I actually don't know specifically, but the Civil Rights Act is being used by the trans movement right now as because they say that they are women, therefore they demand an accommodation of women's rights. Riley can riff on this. They're using the Civil Rights Act literally to have access into men female locker rooms.
So what would you change about the Civil Rights Act?
I wouldn't make it as broad. I would make it much more crisp and concrete, and I wouldn't have it necessarily. I would also get rid of the disparate impact component of the Civil Rights Act. So the biggest problem with the Civil Rights Act, there's 4 components of the beast of anti-racism. There's affirmative action, DEI, disparate impact, and then, of course, there's a 4th that I'll remember in a second, which is basically disparate impact is that it must be racism if 2 different groups have different outcomes, which, of course, is outrageous. Disparate impact is the legal theory that undergirds most of the enforcement of the Civil Rights Act.
So, but now they've dug up that clip and saying he was a racist, and obviously, he hated black people, and a lot of stuff taken out of context. I think there was one video where they were talking about child rapists, and then he said, "You know what? I'm for public executions on stuff like this." Or somebody that he was talking with said they were for public executions on stuff like this, and they edited the video and made it sound like they were just for public executions. Period. Right? And of course they're venting. Right? Like, if you read a story about, a child and it's big news that day, and you're having a daily podcast, you might say something like, "You know what? I'm in favor of public executions for these fuckers." That's not, that's not fringe. it's
They're
it's
bad
speech.
faith actors. They won't give anybody that disagrees with them the benefit of the doubt or any grace whatsoever. It's gross. I think that's why people like you and I are better than political extremist scumbags.
I'm going to play something. Listen to this.
In the neck at his own debate rally. I try to avoid American politics if possible, but I've opened X to a bunch of little bitches crying and whinging about how political violence is never the answer. These people are gunning for politics that is inherently violent to its people. These people are gunning for politics that are inherently violent to a population, to marginalised people, to people who need access to healthcare. This is the same across the West. This isn't just the US. This is England too. I'm sick of this idea that you can't meet violence with violence. If somebody was smacking you in the face in the corner of a room over and over, you're going to hit them back. You have to. You're not getting out of that unless you do. These people do not care if you live or die. They don't. As long as you can work for them and make them money, and once you're useless, they don't care. They want you to die. Why is anyone condemning that? Fucking kill them all! Kill them all!
That person's delusional, mentally ill. They're not seeing the world as it is because of, like you said, places like Discord, where you can sit there and believe bullshit all day, every day, and people will reflect it right back at you. It's unhealthy. The world's never seen it before. Humans have never had to deal with it before. And we have problems in the future that are going to be fucking extreme.
Well, that was the fuck around part. Here's the find out part.
About Charlie Kirk ended up on Turning Point UK's Twitter account, so I need to address this because it's all getting a little out of hand. Let me firstly state that I am no longer at the Petticoat Emporium. My stall has been removed.
Schadenfreude is running through me. I'm not happy to say.
If you upload a video of yourself saying kill them all and you end up losing your job, I don't feel
It's
sorry
racism.
for you.
It's sexism. Nah, that's to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, and now the narrative now is that it's the people are getting fired from their jobs for uploading videos of themselves dancing and celebrating an assassination, right? And the Secretary of Defense said, if you uploaded a video of yourself or put something on your social media account that celebrated a political assassination, you're going to lose your job. And the narrative that's being so I won't even bother reading the headlines to you. I will summarize them for you. The headlines are: conservatives are going after people for their opinions about Charlie Kirk. No. Right wingers are doxing people who had opinions who were posting about Charlie Kirk. They weren't posting about Charlie Kirk. They were saying, and by the way, if you're a member of the United States Armed Forces, you are bound to what are called, I happen to know a little bit about this because I'm the son of a fighter pilot. You have to abide by the codes of conduct of the Universal Military Code of Conduct. You're not allowed to celebrate the assassination of a fellow American if you're a member of the United States Armed Forces. You're not.
On the military, I get that with the military. That makes sense. I'm worried about the right wing and the backlash and pushing this too far and calling for cancellations like the woke people did. I'm not saying it's happening yet. I'm saying that I'm worried about it.
No, I am too.
I'm really worried.
I am too, and some of them have taken it too far because some of them are putting up Charlie Kirk quotes that make him look bad, and they're putting it on their Facebook, and then some very bad actors on social media are digging that up and saying this person needs to lose their job. Well, of course, if you're quoting Charlie, if your only post is quotes that Charlie Kirk said, of course you shouldn't lose your job.
Yeah.
And some people are doing that.
Yeah, and there's going to be political extremists will be out for blood. Right or left doesn't matter, right? So you're going to find some of those people that are going to use that to just cancel and like, oh, just burn them. They believe something other than what I believe. Burn them. And I think it's what we stand for is fuck those people. We're all allowed to talk. That's what Charlie Kirk said. Fuck those people. We're all allowed to talk, and we need to talk. Hating your neighbor for who they voted for makes you the piece of shit. Am I
Yeah, it
wrong?
really does. No, no, it really does. And we've talked about this before, and I've mentioned this before. My parents did not stop being friends with people because Franklin Roosevelt interned Japanese American citizens that my parents were friends with. They didn't stop having cocktails or dinner or visiting neighbors because they voted for Lyndon Johnson. When we were watching our friends, my friends, my brother and sister's friends, my parents' friends' kids coming home in body bags from Vietnam because they voted for Lyndon Johnson. Nobody was doing that. And it's insane to
You know
think that
why?
you
You
would
know why
stop.
no one was doing that? Because they lived a normal life. Because technology didn't allow them to hide from the world.
Yeah.
Because they could only watch so much firing line before they had to go out and talk to other people and make friends and live a life. You don't have to do that anymore. You can have everything delivered to you. You can make your money online, or you could live in your fucking parents' basement, and you can never have to learn. Can I
By the
say
way,
something real quick before you bring that up?
sure.
You talked about the stabbing on the train
Yeah.
last week. We talked about that.
Yeah.
And people are taking the Charlie Kirk story and the stabbing story and they're kind of grouping them together. And this kind of reminds me of the George Floyd moment with the Christian Cooper story. Remember that? The Central Park with the dog, the lady, she calls 911. Remember that? That
Yeah.
happened, I think, maybe even the same day or the day before.
It was,
And it,
yeah, it
and
was
it
very
had that,
close together.
yeah, it had the kind of mini version of the story, like amplifying in the big version of the story that was George Floyd. Like the Central Park was mini, and then the big version was George Floyd. I think that's kind of happening here with how I people hear people talking about the stabbing in Charlie Kirk story. Did that occur to you? Does
Yeah,
that feel that way to you?
it does. And a lot of people are pushing back on conservatives and moderates and centrists using the word they killed Charlie Kirk. And they're saying, wait a minute, I didn't have anything to do with that. The point that the people are making when they say they killed Charlie Kirk is the left has been so adherent and so passionate about labeling their political opponents as evil, as
Yeah.
fascists, as acolytes of Adolf Hitler,
It's the
right?
most embarrassing thing coming out of the left right now. The fact that anybody on the mainstream left doesn't call that out as bullshit every single chance they can is extremely embarrassing to the left.
It is. And I'm going to play one other thing. So, the first person that the New York Times decided to go to comment on Charlie Kirk getting assassinated was Hassan Piker. That's who they decided that they needed to talk to in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder, and they did a whole spread on it.
That's who you
And
need
I'm
to
going
go
to
to. People who get famous off of streaming video games and then they go into politics. Those are the
I'm going
experts
to
we need
play
to talk.
you something that I didn't know Hassan Piker had ever said. So ears open.
Left wingers, liberals, you need to be fucking showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these motherfuckers and letting their intestines just ride on stage. Slice them up. Slice them and fucking dice them. What the fuck is this? Letting their intestines just ride on stage.
If I wanted to be charitable, I'd say it's somebody who streams fucking 8 to 12 hours every single day and just gets caught up in that shit and just says extreme shit for his extreme fucking childish audience. if I wanted to be charitable, which I'm not sure I want to be, because I actually heard him on. He was discussing socialism with Tom Bilyeu, who I really really like, on his podcast Impact Theory, and he came across as pretty sensible. So I've softened up to him after listening to that. But after what you just played, yeah, that's pretty gross stuff. How old was that? Had he had
I'm
a
not sure.
chance to grow? You know, I want to give. I don't want to. I don't want to add to fuel to the fire because we could be in really dangerous times here, right? There could be an escalation of political violence. There probably will be. I don't want to be that guy who just digs in. It's like fuck them, because the most peaceful way out of this is people old school Jesus shit, right? Forgiveness. You know, hey, let's look at the best
Yeah,
part of our adversaries and that kind of stuff. But also, fuck that guy at the same time. I don't know where to. I don't know where to slice it, to be honest with
I
you.
didn't know. I don't even know where to begin with something like that. And so, and for the media to, and for, for a publication like the New York Times to go to him of all people,
That's ridiculous. Why?
right? No, that's insane. Um, and and there's so many more examples. But somebody put this up, and I think I really like it. So the thing where the Rockwell painting. So it's a Rockwell painting of a guy standing up at a town hall or a city council meeting or something, and then people will caption it. And a friend of mine captioned it with, "If you go online to celebrate any political assassination, you are signaling moral unfitness for jobs that involve being around other people's children." And that has to do with, so apparently a whole bunch of teachers and a whole bunch of healthcare workers were were uploading videos of themselves dancing to the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Can I do a little
And
bit of throat clearing that shouldn't be necessary, but I'm going to say it anyways?
yeah,
If it was AOC or somebody like that or Bernie Sanders that got assassinated, we'd be saying the same exact shit we're saying about Charlie Kirk. If people were dancing to that assassination, we'd be saying the same shit about how gross they were. Because it's
we
not
would.
about their side of the fence they're on, it's about political assassinations in 2025 America being fucking gross and disgusting. If you think you need violent political change in 2025 America, you are, I want to say mentally retarded, but that's not really right. You're just warped, probably because of the fucking echo chambers you're in. And
Yeah,
I feel sorry for you. I do. But God, learn to be a human being, people. Like learn what that is. You're not the first person that's existed. Every problem that you face has been faced by a trillion people before. Just touch grass, motherfuckers. You know?
I think we should end on that. That was
Let's
really
end
good.
on that. Cheers. I need my drink anyways, so that's all right. Josh, Mark, love you guys. Check you later.